How are you guys? Good? You okay? You're not sick of me?
And we'll just jump to the gentleman.
Questions? Go ahead.
So it's obviously a pretty emotional experience before you actually start playing. You know, the getting ready part.
Yeah.
A lot of it's pretty intense. And I'm wondering, you know, when you think about the performances you were the happiest with, is there an emotional feeling that you have before you go on, where it's kind of like, yes, I really feel.
No, it's always as terrible as, I think it will stay as terrible as it is. I mean, yeah, I've had some better performances than others, but I always feel terrible before. I'm a very nervous person, I think you can see, so I get very anxious before performance, and, you know, actually, I have to say, when I play with other people, like with orchestra it's better, or chamber music is better because there's other people. So I think, you know, it's when you're by yourself, and I know there's this quote, Marika Bournaki, who's a pianist that I admire very much, she says, you know, it's very scary when you come out on stage and you see the keys of the keyboard like a crocodile, like smiling at you, so that's how I feel too, it's true.
We'll just jump right.
How many people, though, would get up in front of all the, you know, around the world and play like that? And I just have so much respect for Marika. How about you guys? Honestly, like who wouldn't be like almost peeing their pants? Like, I'm serious. Like, I get up here just to talk about the film, and I'm so nervous, and you have to play.
Sorry, we'll just jump right there.
There's probably more than one, but is there a piece of music that when you sit down particularly inspires you?
It's so hard. Somebody just asked me what's my favorite piece of music before. It's impossible to you know, answer. There's so many works that you know, I love. A lot of them I haven't gotten to yet. A lot of you know, other works I don't know yet either. So you know, in general, there are a couple of composers that I very much, you know, admire and love, and one of them is Schumann. So I would say any Schumann piece I feel is very natural to play. And he's one of my favorite composers. So like the concerto, I think, you know, is an amazing piece, and it's easier for me to play than other pieces, other works. I'm also going to play tonight a little bit of Schumann. I just, you know, the way it's written to me is very natural. So, you know, it's like I love Bach, but it's super hard to play. You know, it's like, I don't know if it's because it was supposed to be on a harpsichord, but it's so hard. And Beethoven too is like, it's so precise. So there are just some works that are a little bit easier, I guess. But for me, right now, Schumann.
And just in the middle there.
I'm interested in asking the director, when did you decide this is going to become a film? I mean, how did you, she's a brilliant pianist, obviously, but at what point did you decide this was going to be a movie? Did you know from the beginning? I mean, how did you know it was going to turn out?
So just for the back, in case you didn't hear, the question was for Bobbi Joe in terms of how did you decide that this was going to be a film? What was the process of making this into the film that we see today?
Well, actually, my last film was a film about the Women's Pro Tennis Tour, and I followed a Torontonian, actually, Sonia J. Seelan, who's now the coach of the juniors women's team, young women's team of Tennis Canada. At the time when I followed her, like 10 years ago, she was 48th in the world, and she was Canada's top player. And so I followed the tour for a couple of years, and I was really fascinated by this world, these women that had started their lives when they were 4 or 5 years old to become pro tennis players. Like they had a talent, and they were groomed, or they just had this passion, whatever it was, they just became these amazing athletes. So after that film, I thought, all the women I followed on the tennis tour were adults, and I was fascinated by their childhoods that I didn't follow. And so I thought my next film I'd like to follow a child in the process of dedicating their life to a profession. So one day I read an article about Marika. She'd just been accepted to Juilliard at 12 years old. So she was commuting every weekend back and forth to go to Juilliard, and I just was fascinated by the story. I didn't know much about classical music. I had fallen in love with classical music as an adult. So I just wanted to follow the story. I thought this was a story I could follow. It wasn't tennis, but it was another child that was following that was pursuing a profession, and so I followed her from 12 to 20, and I knew from the beginning that that's what I wanted to do. And so 8 years later, the film came out, and but I knew from the beginning that that's what I wanted to do when I discovered her in the newspaper, that I wanted to follow her for several years.
And actually, to go along with that point, I'm curious to see, this is obviously an 8-year process and you must have gotten so much footage. Can you talk a bit about the editing process? I mean, how do you take 8 years and put it down to an hour-and-a-half film?
You have a great editor. I have the same editor I had for the tennis film, Howard Goldberg, who was an amazing editor, and the tennis film was about 100 something hours of footage. Denial's a happy place, like you just sort of forget how many hours. And he was amazing at helping me craft the narrative structure of the film, the tennis film. And I asked him to come on board for this film as well. We had 140 hours of footage, including the family archives. And he was equally instrumental in helping shape the narrative arc of the film. And pushing, I didn't want my voice in the film, for example. Like, I've never had...
The voice question is so great.
Oh my God! Like, you know, like the boyfriend. So, but it was Howard that felt that journey for so many years, that it was important to have it, whether you agree or not, that's up to you and the critics and whatever, but like, he convinced me that it helped humanize the journey. And also, I had never, I mean, my first 2 films, I had an assistant director, a cameraman, a sound man, we went to Pakistan, I was director, you know, you had your roles. And then when you start getting more intimate, you want to follow something on a deeper level, and you often don't have the budget. You know, arts are cut, and it's just like so you just say, what the hell, I'm going to continue filming, I have a camera, and I'm just going to do it. And that's what I did in the tennis film, and I continued that with Marika even further. Than 90% of it was shot by myself, part of it by my husband Bobbi, because we had our beautiful daughter Phoenix in the process of the film, and he filled in while I was home nursing, and literally, and it became a familial process. And oh God, I hope I answered the question. I'm an Aquarius, we like wanderer, so just bring me back.
No, it's great. Then was there a question in the front, right?
Well, it was such an amazing film. My husband didn't fall asleep once.
Thank you.
But there were so many honest moments that you captured. Was that because it was just you and the subject?
I'm going to let Marika answer this one.
So, but before you answer that, the question was in terms of were a lot of honest moments captured, and how was that process in terms of the two of you, and how did you kind of open up?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a case like this, it's really about the chemistry between the people. So, she filmed me for 8 years, so of course now we're much closer than we were at first, but she was always very open, and I think we can see at the beginning she has to ask me a little bit more focused questions, but quickly I saw that Bobbi Joe was somebody I could definitely trust. Not only that, she was so sweet all the time, and so grateful to have those moments with me that I just opened up very naturally. And I think that's why the essence of the film is so authentic. I was not really talking to a camera. Of course, it wasn't a crew, it was one person all the time. So I most often forgot there was a camera, and I was just expressing myself freely. I often would tell things to Bobbi Joe. One of the last scenes when I'm, crying, this is something I would have never told anybody. That's the way I felt about what was going on in my life. So it was like a diary entry almost. So, but it for sure, it's the chemistry between two people.
So we probably have time for one more question before the performance, and I'm going to jump to the lady in the back there.
I'm wondering if you could talk about your relationship with your career and with performing at this point.
So the question was in terms of your relationship with your career at this point.
It's constantly changing. I'm constantly changing. I think I'm in a better place right now. I'm much more comfortable. I'm doing much more balanced things. It's kind of coming to terms with who I am, with the music, not industry, but the music world, and finding my own self in it. And I think I'm doing that right now. Of course, I want to have a not traditional career, but I want to concertize, and I'm doing a little bit of that already. But with the film, which is what's so great for me, is that it's bringing me places that I would have never been, and I'm sharing music with completely different people. I was just in Mexico City with Bobbi Joe. The film was shown at the docks
Documentary Film Festival in Mexico City.
And you know, they did an outdoor screening in La Plaza Hidalgo, and it was like a huge space.
1,200 people.
Yeah, and
like,
it
was so
non-musicians, and they were just coming over and gathering and wanted to listen. I was supposed to play for 30 minutes, and I played for like an hour and a half, and that's, you know, what it's about, you know, when you're enjoying yourself and sharing music. So I think it's doing a little bit of everything. Of course, it's important for me to also teach. I think you learn a great deal from teaching and doing stuff like, you know, what I did at the school with children, doing some workshops, master classes here in Toronto yesterday. It was only yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a sick kids hospital and I did a little workshop there with the children. So it's, you know, doing a little bit of everything and living a, you know, balanced life and finding your own way, I think.
No, exactly. And it's an honor to be here, and I want to thank again everyone for coming tonight, because it's been a real labor of love for both of us, for Marika's family. Pierre, where are you?
He's there, I see him.
Where are you?
Over there.
Where
Doesn't want to
am
be
I?
seen. Are you
Come
sleeping?
on, Pierre, where are you?
He's probably sleeping. He's seen the movie too many times.
Oh, Pierre,
he's
I see. You are so sleeping down in that seat. But Pierre, you and your family and Marika, like, I have so much love for all of you guys. Like, you know, they shared such a profound part of a journey. You know, I really believe life is gray, not black and white. You know, that we navigate these like raging rivers of life, and we try to do what's best for ourselves, for our children, and it's not black and white. So for me, that's what the journey is, and they're beautiful people, and I feel honored to have shared this journey with them. So thank you for coming and sharing it with us.
Thank you.
And so now as we
Marika's really gonna rock right now.
as we wrap up, once again, the director Bobbi Joe Hart